Welcome to GDs. And this is The Last Kingdom Season 4. Season starts with Bebbanburg being constantly raided by the Scots. And in the recent attack, Ælfric has lost half of its men, and Uhtred's men have been spying on Bebbanburg for him. Back in Wessex, Uhtred's and Ethelfled's relations have grown, and now they are lovers in secret. And in Winchester, King Edward is greatly influenced by his father-in-law and has pushed aside her mother. And he is more focused on building defenses in Winchester. And despite her mother still being alive, King Edward has decided to pass the title of Queen to his wife. Lady Ailswith is quite unhappy with the way she is being treated. And Father Beocca reminds her that she is the one responsible for this, as she is the one who picked the girl. And also pushed aside all the trusted king's advisors. Lady Ailswith, in order to repent, asks Hild to help arrange for a meeting with Edward's first wife and his firstborn son. As she wants to keep them safe, as she thinks in the future, he will have a legitimate right to the throne. And this might put him in danger. Ethelfled returns to Winchester to be with her mother. And in Mercia, Ethelred has given the responsibility of his king's guard to Eardwulf, and Ethelred wants to be with his sister Edith. Eardwulf, getting the information from Hesting, lets Ethelred know that the Danes, Canute, and Breda have left East Anglia and are heading towards Ireland to avenge his brother. In addition, we also get to know that Breda is pregnant with Canute's kid. And Ethelred, wanting to get out of the shadows of Wessex, and knowing that East Anglia is without Danes, wants to take it over in order to have more power with Mercia. In addition, he is also putting back together bones of St. Oswald. And for the same sends Monk to Bebbanburg to get his heart. And Ethelred leaves Mercia to conquer East Anglia. Uhtred, knowing Bebbanburg to be weak, visits the king and wants him to provide 100 men so that he could take back Bebbanburg. Uhtred assures the king that with him at Bebbanburg, they will be one step closer to his father's dream of having a united kingdom under England. But Edward, being counseled by his father-in-law, denies his request. And Uhtred, with no army, has to come up with an alternative way to take Bebbanburg. Ethelfled helps out Uhtred by letting him know that the monks are traveling to Bebbanburg, and he might use them to gain entry. And Uhtred kidnaps his son, who was placed with the monks, by King Alfred. But he despises Uhtred for not believing in their god. Uhtred forces him to join, as the head to get Bebbanburg back. Father Beocca, finding no place for him in Winchester, also joins Uhtred. Father Beocca helps Uhtred's son to see the other side of Uhtred. And seeing his father in a different light, he agrees to help him out, hoping that he might accept their god. And young Uhtred joins the monks, traveling to Bebbanburg. But in Bebbanburg, lost son of Ælfric has returned. And he has brought warriors with him. Uhtred gains entry in the Bebbanburg castle, with the help of his son. And he holds his uncle hostage, asking his men to pledge loyalty to him, as he is the true heir of Bebbanburg. But Ælfric's son takes out his father, and lets Uhtred know that now, Bebbanburg belongs to him. And in order to ensure that his place is not challenged, he tries to take out Uhtred also. But Father Beocca gives his life in order to save him and help them escape. And they barely make out of there. Meanwhile, back in Mercia, the Danes attack the villages, as the news of them leaving was a ruse, so that Mercia will lower its guard. And the Danes were feeling that they will be able to take Mercia easily, and thus force Wessex to come to their rescue, as they don't want to raid Wessex since they have been building defenses. But finding Ethelred not to be there, and knowing that he has been slaughtering Danes in East Anglia, they also slaughter the people and the ealdormen of Mercia, village by village. Canute has also sent his sons to be with Hesting, so that he could keep them safe. As the news of the attack on Mercia reaches Winchester, Lady Ethelfled and Ailswith want King Edward to send his army to help Mercia. But the king is not willing to fight on Dane terms, and is also angry with Ethelred for leaving Mercia defenseless for his ambition, and thus won't send his army. Ethelfled, in order to protect her people, goes to Mercia alone to call her men to arms and lead them against the Danes. In addition, she also sends a word to her husband so that he could get back to join them. With Ethelfled leaving for Mercia, Lady Ailswith hoped that his son will send his army to help her sister. But Edward got angry, and the wedge between him and his mother grew further. Edward's father-in-law doesn't want him to help her out yet, and wants to wait, so that when Mercia will fall, and then, when they will go to liberate it, the entire kingdom of Mercia will be under them. But Lady Aelswith, not being able to see her daughter fight alone, asked Father Peerlig to go to Wall's king, and ask him to join Mercia, to fight against the Danes. Despite knowing this to be treason, as she was doing this behind the king. In East Anglia, the man Ethelfled sent, finally reached to inform the king, about the attack on Mercia by Canute. But his commander killed him, as he doesn't want him to know this, as he knows, that he was responsible in getting Ethelred to East Anglia. And his sister, in order to soften the blow of the information, decides to give in to the king's demand. On the other hand, Uhtred is broken by the loss of Father Beoka. And he grieves, and says his final goodbye. The only silver lining of this entire journey, for Uhtred, was that it brought his son closer to him. And as they return back, they run into Hesting, who informs them about Dane's attack, and the danger in which the Lady Ethelfled is, and as he insults her. Uhtred, not liking it, was about to kill him, and this is when he lets Uhtred know, that it was Canute who pushed Ethelwold to kill Ragnar, so that he could lead his army, and be with Breda. Uhtred lets him live, and take Canute's boys as hostage. And he catches up with Ethelfled in Mercia. And as Canute's men show up to capture them, Uhtred was able to push them back, and get some time by threatening Canute's boys. Canute, getting to know about his boys, is angry. And he leaves his strong position, and goes to the location Ethelfled chose to fight. Father Peerlig was able to convince the Wales king to fight with Mercia, in exchange for spoils of the war. Eardwulf also informed the king about the attack on Mercia. And the king holds him responsible for leaving Mercia defenseless. And he rides back to fight for Mercia. And King Edward, despite being angry with his mother, getting to know that she sent men to ask for help from the Welsh king, was forced to join the battle, as he could not be seen weak. And as the battle starts, the Mercian army is joined by Wessex. And the Danes are defeated. And Uhtred kills Canute for Ragnar. Breda is captured by Walls. And she asks Uhtred to kill her, but he was not able to do so. But in the battle, Ethelred is severely injured. After the battle, Uhtred returns to the safe house, where his daughter was protecting Ethelfled's daughter, and King Edward's first son. Getting to know about Ethelred's injuries, they return to Mercia, as it is in turmoil, since no succession for the kingdom has been finalized. King Edward has also not returned, and has kept his men in Mercia, in order to help them rebuild. And listening to his father-in-law's advice, he has also kept his army there, so that he could influence the choice of next successor of Mercia. And for the same he find Eardwulf to be a suitable choice, and to ensure Mercian royalty, he wants to marry Ethelfled's daughter with him. But Ethelred disagrees with it, as it was him who was responsible for delay in their return, and responsible for all the lives lost. And Eardwulf kills the king before he could convey his decision. King Edward's father-in-law also sent Kingsguard to take his mother captive, for raising the Wallish army. Though the king has not asked him to do so. King Edward sends his men to get Ethelfled's daughter, and orders Eardwulf to lock her sister, so that she cannot revolt. But Edith, knowing Eardwulf not to be a good man, helps Ethelfled escape. And she asks her to find Uhtred, and tell him to meet up with them at the ruins. Uhtred's daughter was able to fool King's men, and they escape. Edith finds Uhtred on the road, and lets him know where Ethelfled wants them to meet. But a sickness has grabbed Mercia. And in order to travel the road they have to ditch their horses. And this delayed them further. And Ethelfled moved to their second meeting point. And Uhtred, knowing this might be the case, also moves ahead. Meanwhile in Mercia, people from the villages are heading towards town, in order to get away from sickness. But King Edward, despite having no authority, orders his men to close the gates, in order to stop the sickness from getting within the walls. Aelswith was able to get out from Wessex, and she travels to Mercia, to see her son. Though his father-in-law tried to send her back, but the king allowed her to enter. And getting to know that she was threatened in Wessex, he is angry, as it was never ordered by him. And he can now understand his father-in-law's intentions. His mother also lets him know about his firstborn. Meanwhile Eardwulf has been chasing after Ethelfled's daughter, and he was able to catch up with them. But her sister lets the men under him know that he is the one who killed the king. And she can prove it, as he also stole the king's ring, and it is in the pouch around his neck. Eardwulf, being called out, knows it's over for him, and he escapes to save his life. Uhtred leaves Ethelfled's daughter, as she is also sick, and goes to Mercia, to inform King Edward about the man he chose for Mercia. and sends his son to find Lady Ethelfled. Uhtred, on returning back, informs the king about Eardwulf, that he was the one who killed the king. King Edward wants Uhtred to give up the kids, but he denies. And Edward imprisons him. And his father-in-law tries to extract the information from Uhtred forcefully. Edward, learning of this, goes to see Uhtred and lets him know that he never ordered for this. And he has a realization that in order to keep Mercia and Wessex allied, he does not need a girl. He can just appoint anyone under him. And he frees Uhtred. King Edward also lets his father-in-law know that is twice he has interpreted his order, as per his convenience. And he wants him to leave Mercia and go to Wessex. At the same time, Ethelfled's daughter is brought back to Mercia by Edith, as she is sick and needs a healer. Edward, seeing the Mercians respect Uhtred, wants him to be the lord, for a few years. And thereafter, they can appoint someone to be the king. Uhtred agrees for the same, as he finds it's the only way to keep Ethelfled safe, and to have peace. Uhtred's son finds Lady Ethelfled. And getting to know that her daughter is back in the town, she also returns back. Aelswith also introduces the king with his firstborn. The ealdormen of Mercia want Uhtred to be baptized again, before he could become the Lord of Mercia. Uhtred, after becoming the Lord of Mercia, as a first order, gives up the throne for Lady Ethelfled. And she, in order to assure the Mercian lords of her loyalty towards Mercia, vows for chastity till she is their leader. King Edward is not happy with this, and places the town under his guard. But Uhtred was able to rally Mercian men for Lady Ethelfled. And King Edward, seeing her popularity, finally considers her to be an equal, and the Queen of Mercia. Edward's mother wants to raise his firstborn away from Winchester. And Edward asks Uhtred to accompany her to a destination. Meanwhile, in the Kingdom of Wales, Danes from Ireland attack them, with Sigtryggr being their leader. And they are looking for Breda, which has been enslaved and tortured by them. They are able to conquer Wales and free Breda. And we get to know that the Dane Sigtryggr is the cousin of Canute. Breda blames Uhtred and holds him responsible for her being made a slave, as well as all Saxons, and she has become more ruthless. But Sigtryggr lets her know that he won't go into a battle unless the time is right. And on the road, Breda find Eardwulf, who informs them that Wessex is unprotected, as Edward and his army remains in Mercia, and they could take Winchester very easily. Sigtryggr, getting to know this, knows the time is right, and the Danes attack Winchester and take it for themselves. And as this information reaches other Danes, all of them are heading towards Winchester. Hasting, on his way to Winchester, finds Uhtred on the road, and he takes his daughter, Lady Aelswith, and the young boy with him, and leave Uhtred and his men hanging to die. But Edith remained hidden, and as Hasting left, she helped them escape. Uhtred sends Father Peleg to inform King Edward while he goes to Winchester to have a look at the situation. Uhtred is not wishing to rush, as he knows nothing about this new Dane lord. And by the way he has taken Wessex and fortified its defenses, he finds him to be smart and cunning. But in order to gather information, Edith goes inside, as rest of them can be identified easily. Hasting delivers the prisoners to Sigtryggr, and Breda, getting to know the girl as Uhtred's daughter, wants to kill her. But Sigtryggr, considering her to be half Dane, wants to know more about her experiences, and thus imprisons her separately. And getting to know her, he becomes fond of her, and lets her know that she need not worry, as no harm will come to her. And when she is threatened by Eardwulf, and Sigtryggr, getting to know that he killed his king, knows that he cannot be trusted, and thus kills him. King Edward, getting to know about the attack on Winchester, tries to take it back with force. But as the Winchester defenses are quite strong, he fails every time. Frustrated by trying again and failing, he now wants to burn Winchester in order to force them out. Breda wants to take Uhtred's daughter to force Edward to stop. But Sigtryggr has grown quite fond of her. And in order to talk with Edward and force him to stop, he takes both of his son and lets him know that he can choose one boy if he agrees to retreat. Edward is broken, and he cannot make a choice between his kids. And Uhtred offers a solution by offering up himself in exchange for Edward's kids. And they make the exchange, knowing that Edward can make new heir, but there is only one Uhtred. Breda, getting to see Uhtred, wants to kill him. But Sigtryggr offers Breda Uhtred's sword, as he wants to talk with him. Sigtryggr lets Uhtred know that he has learned a lot about him from his daughter. and she is being treated well. And his intentions are to negotiate, for land, and for peace. But Breda, getting to know this, wants the Saxons to attack, as she wants to destroy them. And thus she makes them believe that Uhtred has fallen, by throwing his sword out. So that Uhtred doesn't have time to bring Edward and Sigtryggr at the negotiation table. Meanwhile, King Edward's father-in-law, knowing the king could not choose between the two kids, decides to end her mother's life by poisoning her, so that she cannot influence Edward anymore. Ethelfled has also arrived to Winchester, and getting to know that Uhtred has fallen, they decide to attack once again, but this time using smoke to disguise their attack. And this time, they are able to breach the gates. Hasting choose to flee once again. And as they fight, Uhtred was able to avoid more bloodshed by reaching Edward and letting him know that Sigtryggr is willing to negotiate. And both of them call of their soldiers. But before negotiations could begin, they want to see their families. And as they negotiate, Breda tries to kill Uhtred, but he stops her. Breda wants Uhtred to kill her, else her newborn will avenge all the wrong done to her by Saxons. But Uhtred is not willing to do so, and lets her leave. Edward and Ethelfled are able to complete the negotiations, and they have given Sigtryggr a forewitch. And in return, he will never enter Wessex, East Anglia, and Mercia. In addition, he has also been given one prisoner, and that is Uhtred's daughter. Uhtred is against the decision. But after talking with his daughter, and getting to know that she is not opposed to the decision, and has even started liking Sigtryggr, Uhtred allows for the same. King Edward asks Uhtred to take his elder son with him, and teach him the warrior's way, and keep him safe, as he will not be safe in Winchester. Lady Aelswith has also fallen ill because of the poison. And as the season ends, Uhtred's daughter is leaving with Sigtryggr. His son is choosing the path of the monks. Breda gives birth. And Uhtred is heading out with King Edward's elder son to follow his destiny. Thanks for watching. And if you liked it, please subscribe.